Walking in the Alps Maritime is a really wonderful experience. There's the magnificent scenery, the warm welcome, the great weather, the fine cuisine and of course the delicious wine. All these on their own would be reason enough to visit, but when you get them all together as a package, it turns a nice break into a holiday to remember for years to come. One of the best places to stay is in the charming village of Sospel. This is a favourite place for walkers, mountain bikers and people who just like being in the countryside because it has everything you need. It's right in the centre of the mountains, and from there you can access more than 1,000 kilometres of walking, hiking and biking trails that will suit most levels of walkers, hikers and riders. The village of Sospel itself has enough restaurants and bars to cater for most tastes and pockets, and there are a dozen or more guest houses, hotels and gîtes to stay at. The walk we're going to look at here is an 8-hour medium-hard circular walk starting from the town. We leave the Villa Amiel, probably the best bed and breakfast in Sospel, and head off into town, over the historic Pont Vieux, and follow along the north side of the river heading out of town. The houses disappear and we soon find ourselves rising up the mountainside, gaining wonderful views over the Bevera Valley, and we soon spy the side valley we'll be heading up later on. Reaching the top of the lane, we drop down to cross the valley floor and head over to the start of the Vallon de Guillou. With the river to our right, we trek up the side of the valley through the forest, stopping every so often to admire the views. After a little interlude at a local swimming hole, we continue on up the trek as the sound of the river below recedes into the distance. The path we are on is constantly changing. 1 minute you're walking across sparsely covered rocky terrain, and the next you're in shady woodlands enjoying the sights and sounds and smells of everything going on around you. After a few hours we hear the water again as we descend gently to the valley bottom, and our lunchtime stop at the Pont de Fontaine. We take a leisurely half hour over lunch. We tackle the hardest part of the walk, the steep 15 to 20 minute climb up the side of the mountain, where we join the GR52 that tracks along the north side of the valley and our next destination. Once at the top, we have a half-hour walking, more or less level, along the same contours, heading vaguely west, back down the other side of the valley, looking down on the parts of the path we had taken earlier in the day. While the first part of the route had been characterized by ever-changing terrain, this section of the route gave us a spectacular view over the mountains and the valleys that typified this beautiful part of France. About an hour after lunch, we had climbed to what had been nicknamed Panorama Rock. The views here speak for themselves. Then off along the trail to drop down and then up again as we reach the Plateau Piastre. There are two schools of thought about this particular rock formation. Some say it looks like an old Roman road, while others say it looks like a long abandoned railway station, complete with a platform. Continuing on along the old track, we soon find ourselves in a rich meadow and find a picturesque old shepherd's hut. After that the path starts to drop down, and more noticeably so as we pick our way through the old oak forests. Coming out of the forest, we find ourselves high on the south side of the Bevera Valley, with brilliant views down towards Sospel and beyond. We spend an hour zigzagging down the side of the plateau, admiring the ever-changing views that appear through the trees and the bushes. Eventually we find signs of civilization as we pass along the side of an old deserted tumble-down barn and some houses, and then through a 3 or 4 house hamlet, and make our way down the now gentle slope on towards the valley bottom. The rugged land gives way to farms and pastures complete with cows, goats, sheep and the odd farmer. 10 minutes later, and after a walk of nearly 4 hours from the bridge, We cross the Sospel Moulinet Road and drop back down to the Bevereux River. Across the river we can see our path back up the lane that takes us back into Sospel. And everyone is agreed it's been a really lovely walk. Arriving at the Villa Amiel, we are greeted with a cool glass of beer, and then it's off to have a nice hot shower and get ready to go out for a well-earned meal. For tomorrow we walk again.